Chapter 1, what is a pardon in Canada? What is a pardon in Canada? What is a record suspension in Canada? A record suspension in Canada, formerly known as a pardon, removes your criminal record from the Canadian Police Information Centre database, known as CPIC, which holds criminal record information. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police maintains the CPIC database. This CPIC database is used for background checks in Canada, criminal record checks, criminal background checks, RCMP record checks, police record checks, and police background checks to determine if you have a criminal record. When you get a pardon or record suspension, your background check in Canada will come back clean. In other words, your criminal record will not show up, and it will not be disclosed that you got a pardon or record suspension. What is the difference between a pardon and a record suspension in Canada? The outcome of a pardon and record suspension is the same. When someone conducts a criminal record check or a background check in Canada, there is no trace of your criminal record. The name change from a pardon to a record suspension happened in March 2012 when the Canadian government passed legislation modifying the pardon process. In addition to the name change, eligibility requirements to get a record suspension were also modified. But the impact of getting a pardon, now called a record suspension, is the same. A police record check or criminal background check will not include your criminal history. Who is responsible for pardons and record suspensions in Canada? The Parole Board of Canada is the only government agency that can order, refuse to order, and revoke pardons and record suspensions in Canada. The Parole Board of Canada gets its power from the Criminal Records Act, the federal legislation that governs pardons and record suspensions in Canada. What are the benefits of getting a pardon or record suspension in Canada? Getting a pardon removes the disadvantages associated with having a criminal record. You can change your life for the better. The main benefits of getting a record suspension or pardon include finding a job, take on a volunteer position, travel to the United States. This assumes you have not been stopped at the U.S. border before getting your pardon or record suspension, getting promoted at work, getting bonded for your job, opportunities for education, potential to become a Canadian permanent resident, and remove barriers to family legal matters, including custody and adoption. What are the limits of a pardon or record suspension in Canada? While there are significant advantages to getting a pardon or record suspension in Canada, there are limitations. A pardon or record suspension does not erase your conviction. A pardon removes your record from the RCMP's criminal records database, effectively hiding your conviction from a background check in Canada. A pardon or record suspension does not grant you access or a visa to a foreign country. And if you get a pardon or record suspension for a sexual offense, a vulnerable sector check will reveal your conviction. Can a pardon or record suspension in Canada be canceled or revoked? Yes. Your pardon or record suspension can be canceled or revoked by the Parole Board of Canada in the following situations. If you are convicted of a new indictable offense or a summary offense in some cases, in the event you are no longer of good contact, if it was found that you made a false or misleading statement when you applied for your pardon or record suspension, and after getting your pardon or record suspension, it was then determined that you were not eligible for it. If your pardon is revoked, your convictions will be added back to the RCMP's criminal records database, which means your criminal record will appear on a background check in Canada. If I get a pardon or record suspension in Canada, what will show up on a police record check or a background check in Canada? If you get a pardon or record suspension, your criminal background check in Canada will come back clean. There will be no trace of your criminal record history in Canada. When the Parole Board of Canada grants you a pardon or record suspension, your criminal record will be removed from the criminal record database controlled by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. If someone runs an RCMP criminal record check on you, the results are clean, and the result will not disclose that you got a pardon or record suspension. If I get a pardon or record suspension in Canada, what should I say when asked if I've been convicted of a criminal offense? You should answer, no, I have not been convicted of a criminal offense in Canada. Here is the logic. The Criminal Records Act is the federal law in Canada that empowers the Parole Board of Canada to grant a pardon or record suspension. One of the goals of the Criminal Records Act is to enable people who have become law-abiding citizens to move on with their lives without the obstacles associated with the criminal record. When you get a pardon or record suspension, your history of criminal activity is hidden from the public. Employers in Canada cannot ask you if you have had a criminal record removed via a record suspension or pardon. So, when someone asks if you've been convicted of a criminal offense, including employers, the correct answer is no. Can anyone reveal that I got a pardon or record suspension in Canada? Yes. The Ministry of Public Safety has the power to disclose your pardon. However, this disclosure would only happen in exceptional circumstances. The Criminal Records Act is the federal legislation that governs criminal records. The Criminal Records Act states that only the Minister of Public Safety has the power to disclose information from a criminal record that has been the subject of a pardon or record suspension. Disclosure of your pardon would only happen in exceptional circumstances. For example, your criminal record may be reopened if you commit another serious criminal offense. As long as you don't reoffend, no one will get access to your pardoned criminal record. How can I get a pardon or record suspension for possession of pot or cannabis in Canada? If you've been convicted of simple possession of cannabis, you may be eligible for a cannabis record suspension. The biggest advantage of getting a cannabis record suspension is that you do not need to wait the long eligibility periods, ranging from 3 to 10 years, that are associated with getting a pardon or record suspension. One of the key requirements for getting a cannabis record suspension is that the conviction must have been for the simple possession of cannabis. The definition of simple possession is possessing 30 grams or less of cannabis for personal use. If you were charged but not convicted of simple possession of cannabis, then you do not need a pardon or record suspension. To erase any traces of your cannabis charge, you will need to get a file destruction. What is a file destruction in Canada? A file destruction in Canada removes traces of your criminal charges if you were charged but not convicted. Most people don't know that you have a criminal record if you were charged under the Criminal Code of Canada but not convicted. These criminal records are known as non-convictions. These non-conviction criminal records may include fingerprints, photographs, and information about your non-conviction disposition. Critically, these non-convictions will show up on a police record check or a police background check. The only way to remove traces of your criminal record is to get a file destruction. This is sometimes called a non-conviction record destruction. You need to request a file destruction or non-conviction record destruction with the local police or RCMP that originally charged you. Getting a file destruction will ensure that the results of your background check in Canada will be clean.